Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namah Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta ev kevalam kalau nastev gatirantha. This is the process of delivering ourselves from the calamities of this creation. These calamities are perfect. They are perfectly doing what they're supposed to do. Krishna's creation is absolutely perfect. They never fail. Even minutely they never fail. To get out of this world, this is the only method. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam. Only method. Only method, only method. Kevalam, only method. Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. There is no other. We cannot depend on anything else for peace in this world. Absolutely not. The very thing you assume that's going to give us peace, that very thing becomes a misery for our life. You try putting hand on anything else. And more importantly, by the time we arrive at that junction that we have been meditating for 10 years, 20 years, the goal gets shifting one to other. The chase never ends. I've been seeing this since last 48. Yeah, it's never ending chase, isn't it? Yeah? Mirage in desert. For deer, it feels, there's water, but that's mere a reflection of a tree. When the deer goes and bites the hot sand, its thirst increases and increases. It doesn't mean that peace and happiness and bliss doesn't exist. It's not that the water doesn't exist that can quench our thirst. But we are searching in the wrong place. Absolutely in the wrong place. Yeah. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam. 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 And what's that Hare Nam? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this Mahamantra has existed for eternity since Krishna has been there. And Krishna is eternal. So we are as well. We don't realize it. Yeah? But our chase is never ending because we are eternal. Doesn't matter how much, whatever food we like most. After a certain point, one motion will not go in. Yes? Even one bite we can't stand. Yeah? And same very thing that we want to eat so much can make us feel ill. You have to take tablets sometimes to digest it. Or take some other remedies that can help digesting food. Yeah. Same very thing that we like so much. Our stomach, our body is ready. But because we have endless desire to satisfy the quench, but this body is limited. Our desires are endless, unlimited, because our existence is unlimited. We are soul. Soul is endless. It doesn't have any limit. So has Krishna. Krishna has no limit. So the soul, when we connect with Krishna, automatically our power and everything becomes unlimited. When the children are alone, when they were little, when their parents are not around, they will feel absolutely hopeless and helpless. But soon they see their parents. They even do not know that their parents' power is voluntary. Still, they feel, my world has come. Now I can face with anything. Yeah? Sometimes we see on Discovery Channel where they show the pups, they're frightened and stuff like that. But soon they see their mom, they start roaring. Have you seen that? The cubs, they start roaring. They come back to life. Feel, fabulous, fantastic. And same thing happens to us. We slowly feel it. One of the most constant feature of our life is fear. We constantly live in fear. And what happens in Krishna consciousness? As our quotient increases in Krishna consciousness, so is the fear quotient goes down and down. Completely directly proportionate. One goes down, one goes up. Your anxiety, your fear of unknown. We know everything is what's going to happen is going to happen. By me worrying about Ukraine and Russia war is not going to end. By me worrying about Israel and Gaza war is not going to end. Why worry? Nothing is going to change. Has anything changed? Labour, Tories, same coin. Flip up, flip down, they do the same thing. Nothing changes, does it? Absolutely the same. Yes, it doesn't mean that we don't cast our vote. We must go and elect our leaders, who we feel, who may assume that they're going to do some good. But miseries by voting Tories or Labour not going to end. Their own leaders suffer. Every day they go to bed and they can't sleep. Yeah? They can't sleep. All of these leaders, they take tablets to go to sleep. Their life is miserable. Absolutely miserable. But from offset, it looks fabulous. Look at them. A pretty miserable life they live. They can't even go out anywhere on their own. Yeah? So what's that mantra that can get us through in this age? You're going to tell us. And you're going to sing it. Come on, go ahead. 5 minutes. Kirtan.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare
the 4 regulative principles that we follow in the spiritual life. And we'll discuss a bit in depth that why they are important in order to pursue a spiritual life, to understand and let the spiritual life make changes in ourselves. We must follow some rules and regulations, as it happens in every walks of life. Every profession, anything we do in life, we follow regulative principles of every profession. A spiritual life is not a profession, but is the whole life itself. Because we are searching for ourselves, isn't it? Yeah. We are in pursuit of ourselves. So, we had a class recently where one of our devotees said, we don't have a soul, we are the soul. That's beautiful, isn't it? That makes such a difference. Once you start thinking about that, I'm the soul. I'm not this body. I'm not this car. I'm not this building or the country, because we have extended ourselves into. So if something happens to our extension, be it car or country or society, it affects us there, isn't it? A tiny bit of detachment helps, but that's artificial detachment. People who have artificial detachment, they just go and get involved in some other mischief in society, and they become nuisance. What really helps is genuinely have detachment. Yes, I'm in this world, I'll be utilizing the wealth and the creation of Krishna, but we know that this creation doesn't belong to me, it doesn't belong to anyone for that matter, it only belongs to Krishna. Yeah? Once this kind of sinks in our hearts, that nothing belongs to me, everything belongs to someone else, because no one has ever taken even a particle of dust with them. Nothing. Once we leave this body, I'm saying leave, because I don't believe in death, die, because soul never dies. Krishna says, Nahannam te hannamane sharire. No one can kill soul. Nahannate, hanna means shooting or killing. Nahannate hannamane sharire. This sharir may disappear, but the self, the person we are within, it never dies. Yeah? Because we are so fearful. We're so fearful. Constantly fearful. Always. And once, Bhaya, Raga, Vita, Krodha. Bhaya means fear. Raga means attachment. Bhaya, Raga, Krodha, anger. So once you have developed attachment to anything, there's a fear of losing it. And if anyone we perceive that someone is going to steal it, we are angry. How dare? Yeah? So Lobha means become very possessive for anything, and we want to accumulate more and more, acquire more and more and more and more material. Our body is not even ours. Our body is from the nature, from the trees, the grains, the plants, the milk, yogurt that we have consumed. That's what it is. Body is. Yeah? The body itself that we claim ours is the result of accumulation of external things. Yes? Can we create anything? Can we manufacture anything? Even a dust particle we can't. No one has ever manufactured a particle of dust. Because the energy that permeates in this creation is absolutely constant. No one can take away even 1 joule of energy. Forget about the rest of it. Not even one. Nothing. So energy is constant. It just transforms. What we scientists do is transform one form of energy to a different one. From solid to liquid, from liquid to solid, or air, gas, That's what we max do, don't we? It's a different transformation of the same energy. That's what happens. So we have two types of energy. One is material, spiritual. To see spiritual energy, we need a different kind of vision. We can't see spiritual energy just by this naked eye. Just like I have trillions of bugs on my hand, arms, and legs, we don't see them. To see them, we need a special microscope. Our gut inside has billions and trillions of microbes, means bugs. We don't see them, even though they were living in our body, in my body. So there are trillions of living beings are living inside me. I'm absolutely oblivious. I don't know who they are, but they're living in us. Yes? Is that true? Yeah, there are trillions. Our brain has trillions of neurons. We use very fraction. The most of human beings, we use about 2 to 6% of the brain, max about 7%. Yeah? Because we don't diversify the activity of our brains. Our brain is just about food, shelter, sleep, and find a person to mate. That's what the whole pursuit is after. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's the whole pursuit. For that we use only fraction of our own brain capacity. Forget about if we utilize the entire brain capacity, just imagine what kind of human beings we have potential to become. Yeah? Just tiny fraction we use. What does meditation do? It invokes the certain part of the brain. It just reverberates the whole area of the brain. And it helps you to explore the area of our consciousness that we have never been aware of. Because our brain has been just working. The way the society has been created, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's it. It doesn't allow you to think anything else. Yeah? We cannot think beyond whatever link with other person, people. We just restrict ourselves to that. It doesn't allow us to explore anything else in life. It restricts. That's why our brain, I'm going to use medical terminology, is constipated. Our brain is constipated massively. It wants to explore. Find the avenues. Give it some help. Meditate. That's why people, when you see, they're people who meditate. They're very peaceful. They look very serene. There's a calm curtain on their face. Yeah? They carry a calmness. You can see and feel it. Sometimes devotees like Radhanath Prabhu may have hair around them as well. It comes. You can feel it. When you go near them, you feel a different kind of energy. They're welcoming energy. They're not repel energy. They're very welcoming. They're soft. Their nature becomes very soft. They become naturally very compassionate, helpful. And they're not just compassionate to other human beings. They're compassionate to every single living entity. Do you know how many creatures the human beings kill every year to feed themselves? How many? Any guess?
Billions, trillions.
1.2 trillion. Close to 6 billion daily. How many creatures have become extinct from this world because of our activities? Close to 65-70% creatures have become extinct. It's very shocking, isn't it? Just by the behavior of one creature, one race has potential to do so much damage. No other creature has done so much damage as human beings. And we're utilizing only 3.5 to 7% of our brain. Just imagine if you have destructive capacity and our brain was functioning 100%, we would have destroyed everything by this time. But that's the age we're living. And that's the purpose of this talk, is how 4 regulative principles that we follow in our society linked and helped us to, as a human beings, to evolve into a being that cares, not just to self, to family, to relatives, but the entire creation. That's visible and non-visible. Yeah, it's very easy to cater for people who we can see, but we have deliberately kind of made our slaughterhouses, yeah, in a cave, so no one can see what they do there, how they produce meat. No one can see them. What pain they go through. And we think that, we can consume their flesh and think that that negative energy that was kind of generated by them within themselves, they were living in fear and all of that, that's not going to be passed on. That's utter foolishness, because energy, as I said, can be transformed from positive to negative, but it won't disappear. If we are generating negative energy, it's going to be transformed to someone in that form. Only the spiritual path is such that can convert the negative energy into positive. Just like Lord Buddha, he sat in meditation, and the person comes and hurls, abuses at him. And he was not buzzed. He was, I'm fine. Then this guy, what's the matter with this man? He's not disturbed. And Lord Buddha, he kind of woke up from his meditation. Like, what happened to you? I tried to abuse you, but you remain very aloof. And he replied, you were trying to give me some gift. And it's my choice whether I accept it or not. So he did not accept that person's negative gift. So what happened to that gift? What happened to that gift that person wanted to give? Exactly the thing. That stayed with that person. Yeah? Stayed with them. And that's what happens when we envy someone. And that person has no clue whether you are envious of that person is not, but you envy. He bought a new car, I must buy a new car. Bought an iPhone, latest one, I must. Yeah? They change, and what happens? We get worse. We increase our envy, hatred, all the negativity. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It harms our own self. Yeah? You lose sleep. The stress, anxiety, all of these things are mother of modern illnesses. Hypertension, diabetes, obesity, kidney failure, liver, everything. Anxiety is the mother of these conditions because you eat more, you eat nasty food that you shouldn't be eating, trans fat and name it. Yeah? Meditate. Can do a lot of good to ourselves. So what are our 4 regulative principles? Anyone can name them? That we follow in our society? 4 regulative principles. Anyone? No intoxication. No intoxication. Yeah. So people who intoxicate themselves, what happens to them? There's one very important quality that they lose.
Self-control. Self-control.
Self-control. Yes, absolutely. Self-control. They lose self-control. So no intoxication. What happens when we intoxicate ourselves? What's the purpose of intoxicating, first of all? Why do we do it in the first place?
Escapism.
Escapism. Perfect answer. We want to escape from something. We want to escape from something. That's why we indulge. Why do we want to escape? What are we trying to escape from? What is that thing within ourselves that we are trying to escape from, cover up? What is that? Our disturbed mind. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is that our mind, if it is our friend, it has potential to resolve many issues in life. But if it is not friend and our enemy, it can just destroy everything that we have. So we're trying to escape from mind. And what is there in the mind that we're trying to run away from? What does mind do? Thoughts. Yeah. Insecurities, you name it. All the vices that we have in ourselves, they're stored in the mind. The invisible enemy that we don't see, but it is just constantly tormenting our life, day after day, night after night. We're not that frightened of visible enemies. We can handle them. But invisible enemy is so dangerous. We don't see our mind, do we? But what we know in our life is that we know this body and we know our mind, and that's it. We don't know anything else. Just imagine so much imagination our mind has stored itself. Yeah? Everything, think of it. All the perception that I achieve something, I acquire something that's going to make me feel happy and better than others. You compete and compare. This is life, isn't it? Compete and compare. That's the mind. Our entire life goes with that. Competing and comparing. Constantly, aren't we? What we don't realize that we are individual person. I have come with a set of karma from the previous life. And that set of karma, we have to live with it. By competing and comparing, our set of karma not going to disappear. We're not going to become happier. When we compete and compare, that's false perception of happiness. Oh, that person become ill, he was my enemy. That gives you false perception, isn't it? That I'm happy now. That's entirely false perception. It doesn't help in any way otherwise. So imagination. That's imagination of mind. But it doesn't know. It has stored certain other kind of we eat cake, gulab jams, halwa. Different countries have different culinaries. It has stored those things in our Yeah? When you hear gulab jams, my antenna goes up. Ah, yes. But if some other name comes, so for example, when I first came to this country, I didn't know what tart was. So when I heard the tart, I'm like, what is sweet? Yeah? But now I know. My mind has stored this now. I can imagine. I can picturize it. Yeah? I can picturize all saliva, everything has processed. Yeah? Everything has processed. Without eating the sweet, all the process has happened in the body. All imaginations, the taste has come, the saliva, stomach starts to make noise. Come on, give me imaginary halwa. Now put something in the mouth to satisfy, quench my, yeah. Yes? That's the mind. But nothing has happened, but we are, yes, nice. Just like dream. Just like dream state. The lion is not chasing us in the dream, yeah? But we wake up in the dream, we perspire. We have this feeling, yes, lion was chasing me. That's all imagination. That's all imagination. That's mind. And that's what we're trying to run away from by intoxicating ourselves. Yeah? Our body has whatever we want to acquire from external, our body has everything. Our body has alcohol. There's a process that it generates alcohol in the body. It doesn't require a drop of alcohol from outside. It has the process. It balances. When we put something externally, it's like, hello, don't disturb me. Keep disturbing, you get liver failure. You get brain problem with alcohol. Smoking get lung problem because we abuse. We become slave of our intoxication. That's it. Intoxication is not bad. Addiction is not bad. The devotees of Krishna, they become addicted to Krishna. Yes? We become addicted to chanting the names of Krishna. Our mind becomes our friend. There's a shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, second chapter. I think the verses are 28, 29. There's Vasudeva Para Veda. Vasudeva Para Makha. Vasudeva Para Yoga. Vasudeva Para Kriya. Means Vasudeva is Krishna. Para is something beyond, without a limit. Veda means knowledge. Let me read the translation of this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And the verse 29 is Vasudeva Para Jnanam and Vasudeva Para Tapa. Vasudeva Para Dharmo and Vasudeva Para Gati. It's a beautiful verse. Let me see if I can find it. Oops. 1 to 28, 29, I think it is. Yes. Yes, it is. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Krishna. That's Veda. The ultimate knowledge is Krishna. The personality of Godhead. Oh, it's gone. So ultimate knowledge is Krishna. For devotees, the ultimate, to deliver us from our anxiety is Krishna. The supreme yoga process is to know Krishna. Our activities should be only to please Krishna. The knowledge that we want to acquire, the aim should be to know Krishna. Jnanam. Tapa. The austerity that we perform, we're all performing austerity. Every second and minute we're performing austerity. You believe it or not. For some austerities we become accustomed to. Yeah? If someone comes from some other country, put them in the kind of roads or traffic or anywhere, for them that's austerity. They become puzzled. Their body is not kind of ready. The cold, the heat. It's hot today, isn't it? A bit hot. That's austerity. But we should be ready to endure austerity to please Krishna. Tapa. Vasudeva para dharmo. Dharma is religion. So any religion that takes us away from Krishna, we should discard that. But the religion that brings us close to Krishna, we must accept that. Vasudeva para gati. Goal of life. What should be? Krishna. Nothing else. All these 8 attributes we should really pay attention to and inculcate. Knowledge, austerity, yoga, activities that we perform, knowledge, jnana, knowledge, yes. Everything should be directed to please Krishna, nothing else. Everything else will make our life really, really miserable. Yeah. What is the next in the 4 regulative principles? We talked about no intoxication. No meat eating. We become cruel. We lose that daya. Yeah? We become only compassionate to our children, family. Even little scratch. We cry, but we cut throat of some other's mother or children. There is no tears. That's fake compassion. Being compassionate to your children and not being compassionate to others is a fake compassion. I was talking to one of the Buddhists once, and I was completely aghast to hear that because they don't kill animals, that's fine for them to eat animals. The entire thing that Lord Buddha started was ahimsa, no killing. If there's no killing, there will be no eating of meat. But they can't connect 2 dots together. If you stop eating, there will be no killing. But in this age of Kali, everything gets transformed. We are so crooked. Even Lord Buddha, he was so precisely said, ahimsa, don't kill. We said, yes, we won't kill, but we will eat. Like Jesus Christ, he was a pure devotee of the Lord. Absolutely pure. But what did we do? We twisted Bible in so many ways to facilitate our meat-eating capacity. Yes, we twisted Bible so much. The Bible, kind of now we read, is beyond recognition what Jesus Christ wanted to preach, to teach us. Destroyed it completely. He was a pure devotee. He was true compassion. He was crucified, hanging up. They do not know what they're doing. Forgive them. Can you imagine that I'm being shot and I'm feeling compassionate to my killer. How is it possible? It's only possible if we have grace of Krishna. Otherwise, humanly impossible for us. Impossible. We have to have grace of Krishna to live that life. What's the third regulative principle?
Gambling.
No?
Gambling.
No gambling. Gambling. Again, the part of imagination. Calculation. Yes. We calculate. If I put £1, I have a chance to win £100. If I put £100, I have a chance to win millions of pounds. There's £1,000,000 lottery. There's £1,000,000 lottery. Yeah? Yeah. People put their hard-earned money. They think that they get money just out of fluke. No. The person who is kind of accumulating money from everyone else, they pay to one person. That's it. Yes, that's so they're not paying from their own pocket, are they? No, they're not paying from their own pocket. They have a target. Okay, it's 35 million lottery. Let's make 100 million. We'll give away 35 million. They made 65 million for themselves. That's all calculation. Yeah? But we go into imagination. Yeah? If I get £1,000,000, I'll buy a mansion. I'll buy a Bentley car. I'll have a golden plated toilet seat. Have you seen it somewhere? Yeah. In the Middle East, people have golden toilet seats, golden car, purely the outer covering from gold. It's all imagination. So much, making ourselves very special personality. People notice me, people look at me. But the same very person who you're trying to show off to, once you're dead, no one would like to come near you. No one. No one will keep our bodies in their house. He was my very loved person, child or husband, wife, whoever. You won't keep that body in the house. Please, take it. Do whatever you want to do. Burn it, put in in the ground, take it away. Soon. No one cares. No one cares. We don't care for the person that has lived in that body. Yeah? Our soul, our Atma. He departed. Who departed? That body is still there. Who departed? Who died? The body is still there. The person we were loving, that body is still there. But we love gambling in every state of our life. What's the fourth one? No illicit sex. Pin drop silence. But this habit is so prevalent in our society. So prevalent. And what is most shocking is that we don't talk about it enough. Yes? There should be the talk in our households that how this one infatuation habit destroys families after families, and they're ruined. Get married, have one husband or wife, be happy. But so much corruption in the brain that leads to this condition. The brain is corrupt, absolutely corrupt. Doesn't matter how much wealth, how beautiful or handsome you become, this kind of business of infatuation never ends. People think that I've become wealthy and you'll be satisfied. Never. All those big short people, they are kind of involved in all these four activities to detail. You name it. And yet, they become president, they become kind of prime minister of countries, and they are at the helm of. Just imagine how society has become corrupt. They put them into those high positions. It's very easy to become corrupt. So 4 regulative principles, they help our society, ourselves to regulate ourselves. We become compassionate. We don't harm anyone. Our brain is, you will see things as they are. Like Srila Prabhupada, he wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is. So we see things as they are. Our brain becomes friend by following these regulative principles. We come to the standard of mode of goodness where we can see things as they are. Then in that state of consciousness, when we chant Krishna's name, they have direct effect in ourselves. But we don't have to become in mode of goodness to chant, even though we are in mode of ignorance. We must chant. Because this process is so sublime, it doesn't matter in what state of consciousness we are, in what state of existence we are, rich, poor, male, female, whatever that is, must chant. Cheto Darpan Marjanam, cleaning the mirror of our own self, cleaning the mind. There is no other way we can clean our mind. There is no other washing of liquid or something there. It's the Cheto Darpan Marjanam, and coming together like this and associating with each other and reminding ourselves, each other about Krishna. Any questions? Anyone? Any comments? If no questions, Prabhu.
You mentioned that within our bodies there are millions and trillions. You mentioned within our body there are millions and trillions of entities, right?
Yes.
Do each of them have a soul?
Sorry, what?
Do each of those have a soul?
Yes, they do.
And is there a super soul in all of them also?
All of them as well. They all are creatures. They all. We know the story of Jal Bharat. Yeah? So Jal Bharat was, it's a long story, but he became so conscious that walking on the street, he became conscious of ants walking there, and he became fearful of stepping on them. So we start seeing soul and super soul in every living creature once we become Krishna conscious. Every living creature. Some we see, some we don't. But we become respectful to every living creature. We know the story of one of the devotees in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, that he had a maggot on his wound, and the maggots would fall down and he would pick them up and put them on the skin. He was so compassionate that he was allowing the maggots to eat his own body. So devotees become so compassionate. We don't have to become like that. We don't imitate, but we follow in their footsteps. We'll stop here. We'll have a 10 minutes Kirtan by Conor Prabhu. प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय।